All right, Nick, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. We've been talking about the draft a lot lately. We've been talking about the Seahawks as a whole a lot. But I think we don't give the Seahawks enough credit for how great of a hire they made when they picked up new head coach Mike McDonald and how innovative and how just he's going to be such a great head coach for this team. And we have an article from over on The Athletic that really highlights a lot of things that Mike McDonald does that are so special. Let's get into the article and then we're kind of break down that on the other side. Again, as I said, this is from The Athletic. The first part says, when he does blitz, offenses usually have no idea where the pressure is coming from because his defense can present so many different looks from week to week. The Ravens were so multiple because of the unique way McDonald teaches and structures his pressure packages. What the Ravens have done so well is they pressure so many ways that you can't get a beat on them. From former NFL center A.Q. Shipley, he told The Athletic that the other thing that's great about them is you might watch them 1 week against Pittsburgh and it's a completely different look against Cleveland the next, so it's tough too because you got to make so many in-game adjustments. Goes on to say, then he can easily mix fronts and pressures and add layers to them. The Ravens don't deploy a ton of different fronts and pressures, but they have endless ways of changing the presentation for offenses. Essentially, he's taking Sean McVay's philosophy of making everything look the same until it isn't, but applying it to the pressure packages. Another important feature of McDonald's system is purposeful nomenclature for each pressure. Though using nomenclature seems like a simple tool, the language of football, even at the highest level, can be confusing with terminology drawn from different systems and eras that have nothing to do with each other. Again, this is from over on The Athletic. It's a great read. Go check it out. But Nick, I think this just shows Mike McDonald is so genius and kind of keep it simple, stupid type of way that he does things with his defense. I'm curious what your thoughts are. But Seahawks fans, in the comment section below, what do you think about McDonald? Do you think he can potentially be the number one ranked defense? Does he get the Seahawks there? Is this going to be a revolutionary style of defense we're going to see on the field? Is it going to take a couple of years? Let us know your thoughts on what he's able to bring this Seahawks defense up to level-wise in the comment section below. But Nick, what do you think about the hire and just everything that McDonald is doing?
So I liked the hire when it first came out, obviously much earlier this offseason, but this report from Ted Wynn over The Athletic, again, highly recommend it. It's a really great job reporting, really great piece of writing by Wynn, but it really dives into Mike McDonald's genius. And I love the words he used, saying he is the Sean McVay of defenses and defensive coaching in terms of how he's basically making the complex simple and using a lot of, I don't want to say trickery, but a lot of disguise to confuse opposing offenses while keeping simple terminology to make things simple for his defenses. That's the exact same strategy that Sean McVay implemented with the Los Angeles Rams when he took over the Rams and they went from being a dumpster fire in offense. I'm sure Seattle fans, you guys remember that, right? With those Jeff Fisher days where you could beat the Rams, beat the Rams like 27-3. They were terrible. Sean McVay shows up, different ball game, very smart team, very good team, and they've been that way ever since. I think we're going to see the same kind of impact from Mike McDonald here. And I think that's why the hire of Mike McDonald was the biggest move of the offseason for any team. Because one of the things I've been reading about recently, and I was reading a book about from Peter Thiel, he's the PayPal Mafia guy, startup guy, really smart guy. He said one of the ways to generate revolutionary change, he calls it going from 0 to 1 versus from 1 to 2 or 1 to N. Basically, what that means is if you just try and copy what everyone else tries to do and just get a little bit better, the best case scenario is you're just going to be a little bit better, right? Everyone's trying to find the next Sean McVay, right? That's what everyone's hiring. We hear that every offseason. We're looking for the next Sean McVay. We're looking for the next Sean McVay. So you're nonstop. But the reality is your best case scenario of getting, you're not going to get the next, you're not going to get Sean McVay. So the best case scenario is you're going to get a coach that's kind of like Sean McVay, that's pretty close, right? Or you can take a different approach. You can sit there and say, hey, we're looking for the next defensive genius, right? And that's what this report is saying. When they say McDonald is a Sean McVay of genius, they're saying the guy who can change the numbers and flip the math for the defense the way McVay did for the offense so many years ago. And that's going from 0 to 1. That's creating something new. That's going revolutionary. And I think that's what we're going to see with the Seattle Seahawks. We saw it with the Baltimore Ravens. People forget the Ravens were really good, but if you looked at that defense on paper, it was a lot of old guys on their last legs and a lot of young guys with not a lot of experience and a couple really good linebackers, right? And they were the most dominant defense in football. Let's be totally honest, right? Incredibly good. Just beat the brakes off of everybody. Seahawks fans, you know that as well, based on the Ravens Seattle game from last season. Now you bring McDonald and that strategy, that focus into the Seahawks defense. I'm telling you, folks, I think we're seeing a sea change in football starting in Seattle in 2024. We're going to see a change in defense. And this NFC West, it's been run by the offenses, the Shanahan 49ers, McVay and the Rams, Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, right? And even the NFC as a whole, we feel like it's like offense. You got the Eagles and the Cowboys putting up a lot of points, things like that. I think McDonald bringing in his strategy, his new ideas, his revolutionary moves here for the Seattle Seahawks defense will flip the script and being different. Again, not trying to iterate, not going from 1 to 2, but from going from 0 to 1. That's what the Seahawks are doing here. And I think it was the smartest move of the offseason. I think, as this report details, time will show that the Seattle Seahawks are going to separate themselves from the pack by going a completely new direction. And Mike McDonald is the right man to lead that charge.
Yeah, Nick, and what's so fascinating to me is kind of just the way that everything is so complex, yet he has a way to make it so simple. It talks about just having similar naming packages for everything, where everything in one group is named similarly. So if you're blitzing a strong side safety, falling back on the weak side, all of those type of blitzes were all named similar. It seems really simple, but it's something that had a lot of results. You saw a guy on Baltimore like Patrick Queen come in before Mike McDonald. He kind of struggled early on in his career before McDonald came over. Things were very complicated. The Ravens were doing a lot of things on defense, but then Mike McDonald came in with this system that he brings in. It simplifies everything. Then we see Patrick Queen come out and absolutely dominate and be a force of nature. Obviously, he leaves Baltimore, goes on to get paid by the Pittsburgh Steelers. But that's just one example we've seen of how this can really elevate the play of players that are talented, but maybe getting mixed up with, the difficultness of schemes and stuff. So I think McDonald, like you said, he's going to really change this defense. And I think there's going to be a lot of great things we're going to see out of Seattle this season.